spotlight may have some consequence to what comes with what's out there.
Well, and just to elaborate a little on the point you brought up, so anyone who applies for a student visa to the United States now has to make any social media handle. They have to disclose those handles and then make them public so anybody can see them. And so now consular officers, once they've finished interviewing students, will go back to their desk and literally go through the social media profiles of these individual athletes. And we've seen several cases where like the kid, it was one in particular was a kid in Senegal. He didn't know how to make it public. He tried, like he didn't understand like kind of the tech of it, and his visa was denied as a result.
Right. And so how does this work? We've talked a lot about kind of the particularly focused on the sort of basketball aspect of it, and of course basketball is one of the most prominent, if not the most prominent and global sports in this country. What does the landscape look like with other sports that may not have the same level of resources and kind of, say, tennis or swimming or any other sport, you name it. But are there differences there in terms of the process, in terms of the pipeline, in terms of the capability, what these programs can do?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about basketball and football because those are the two largest revenue generating sports in all of college sports. And so now historically, kind of our Olympic pipeline in part has been trained, and elite athletes have come largely from the college ranks. They go through NCAA, whether it's, like you said, swimming, track and field, and they've essentially served as the elite talent pipeline. But now, as more and more of those resources shift to the programs that are generating the money, and they need more of those resources to give to individual athletes, you're starting to see more programs that aren't generating as much revenue be shuttered. And so there's a real kind of existential sort of just like a question about what the future of the American Olympic athlete, kind of non-professional athlete pipeline looks like. And again, tennis is the sport in which you have the highest percentage of international athletes. It's actually close to 60%. Overall in NCAA, it's about 12 to 13% international student athletes. But these are one of the things that we just have to address, or else we have to completely rethink how we approach elite talent development for the Olympic sports.
Right. And Greg, how much of a push is there from the countries that these students are coming from? We're talking about sports diplomacy, like either at your level or both of your levels, or at sort of the government-to-government level. How much noise are these countries making about their student athletes not being denied this pathway?
Yeah, it's a great question. So again, with the changing environment and how it's going, and as it's being figured out on the fly, again, to this point within the NIL opening, it's been a pretty open border in terms of players that have gotten in. So I think as the NCAA tries to wrap its arms around putting some guardrails and finding ways to navigate some of the older players, as Travis mentioned, and also some of the players that have had such long professional resumes, that'll be interesting to see. I can't give an answer because we're in that period right now of kind of trying to put the genie back in the bottle a little bit, because universities in the United States have been operating under a certain system for the past 5 years, and now they're trying to kind of reorganize and justify certain things being allowable and certain things being not permitted. So I guess we'll see, to be determined. And I think, as Travis mentioned, some of these things that are taking place over on Capitol Hill and way above my level of understanding in the political realm, we'll see where that goes. Obviously, it'll impact me, but this all is driven by a lot of different things, right? Television and the rights of the programs and the elite conferences and how they're structured. So there's layers to all of it. It starts with football in the United States of America, and then probably to the NCAA men's basketball and the NCAA tournament, and then I guess we'll all follow how this goes and try to operate within those parameters as we best can see fit. Again, at Georgetown, while maintaining a certain academic standing that may or may not be applicable at some of these other institutions.
Right. So finally, to wrap up, in this whole kind of, as you laid out, very complex, very convoluted and uncertain landscape, if there was one thing that each of you could sort of snap your fingers and fix, what would that be? We can start with Travis. Easy question.
Yeah, right. For me, again, I take it back to where I started, which is just the immigration pathway for sports generally. I think, recognizing that the sports industry is more than $1 trillion. I mean, it's $2.5 trillion globally. About 40% of that is in the United States. We're sending people in who have full scholarships to universities. We're sending in professional athletes who are waiting for appointments, who are stuck outside the United States to come and play in professional sports league. It's only an additive to our culture and our environment. So I think we have to look at streamlining that process and recognizing the important role that sports plays on a global level.
Yeah, from my perspective, just communication, and that's a selfish one from my role, just the communication, understanding what's happening. And, we find out like everyone else. We find out on Twitter. We find out through, a colleague who reached out and said, this is how the changes happen, and then we're trying to adjust on the fly. As I keep using on the fly because it's moving in that way. So communication and understanding where the trends are going would be quite helpful.
Right. On that note, Greg, Travis, thank you so much for a great conversation, and thank you all for listening.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.